I'm gonna give you a good analogy, right? You remember Destiny Child? Mm-hmm. There was a young woman in the group called Latoya Luckett. Latoya Luckett went on a solo career. If she wanted to negotiate a deal, would it be better for her to negotiate a deal when she was with Destiny Child or her as solo? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, if I'm with Beyonce, I got a lot of power.
I'm trying to connect.
I'm gonna bring it home.
Okay.
Nigeria is the biggest country in Africa by GDP and population. You left ECOWAS, you left the Lion of Africa to go start your own shit. That's what black people do. We always be like, "Whoa, like what you did," and start my own shit. You just left the organization that has the biggest economy in Africa.
But what was being tied to Nigeria? What did that do for them all these years? Nothing. All these countries are just basically getting robbed blind. Like, we know this.
Well, hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Sankofa Sessions with Kofi and Kofi. I'm Kofi too.
Man, nah.
Why? I'm giving to you, big dog.
Oh man, I'm gonna roll with it just because you insist.
Man, look, man, take the compliment while we got it offered, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great.
That is fine. You had to wear Wizards paraphernalia.
I'm doing great. My Wizards are doing great. Don't worry about us. We be good, you know.
Look at my face. You can't say that with a straight face. My Wizards are doing.
I could say that now.
That's like a tongue twister.
We got AD. We got Trey Young. We got Trey Johnson.
Who is Trey Johnson?
What? One of the best rookies. Okay. Oh look, you don't worry. You'll know his name next year.
Okay. I went to the game Sunday and I watched the Wizards and I heard chants and I seen a Charlotte Hornets jersey there. People just wanted to come see a game. That was literally the game before Super Bowl Sunday is, hey kids, the tickets are cheap. Let's go see a basketball game. Yeah. And who's the local team? The Washington Wizards.
Hey, look, y'all can have y'all fun now. Have your fun now. Next year we taking over.
What?
We taking
the play in?
Look, next year we taking over. I'm not gonna define it. But we definitely gonna be in the playoffs.
Well, that is fine. I'm gonna say play in maybe, and if that's the case, then we're gonna have to make a bet.
Look, all right, what's the bet?
We'll think about something.
I got something for you.
Okay.
So we're in the playoffs, not the play-in, but the playoffs.
Actually, so you mean the 8th seed?
At least the 8th seed.
Okay.
So if we're in the playoffs next year,
okay,
you wear a Wizards cap.
That's fine.
And you make that your profile picture till we get out the playoffs.
That's fine. I actually have a Wizards jersey. I still have my Michael Jordan Wizards jersey. I still have it. Okay. I will find it and wear it.
All right. And that got to be your profile picture till we get out the playoffs.
That's fine.
All right. And now we're a heat.
Nope. I am a man of grace. I will let you sit there and just know that you were wrong. I will do nothing else. I'll just look at you and I'll be like, what happened again?
I ain't worried about it.
Okay.
I'm not worried about it.
That's fine. Well, hey, Kofi, we got a beautiful episode that's coming up. But before we get to it, we'd like to thank our sponsors, right?
Yes, sir. We got Resist Booksellers here in beautiful Petersburg.
Buy some books.
Read. And we got Modern Man Photography over here providing us with this beautiful lighting and sound and all that good stuff. We appreciate you, brother.
You know, it's crazy because we did one episode. I was like, I need to do some skin treatments or something. I got pimples on my face. And I was like, this new camera, it shows everything. I'm like, I got to get a skincare. Can we get like a skincare sponsor like Teach Henley or one of those things or something?
Too much lighting now?
Man, I'm talking about, I'm like, wow, I need to drink water. I had like 3 bottles of water I'm trying to drink so I can be clear skinned here.
All right, we gotta dim the lights again. We gotta dim the lights.
No
it's
bleaching,
too much.
No bleaching, just clear skin. I want to make sure I don't want no bleaching allegations going on out here. Right? I am not a bleacher. You know?
Yeah, let's not.
You're not a bleacher either, are you?
Oh Lord, no.
That is crazy. I know we got to be serious, but when I went to Ghana, they have this assortment of bleaching cream, and you can go to every gas station, you can go to every hair care product store, and you see people use it. It's like they got dark elbows. The elbows are like dark, but then their skin is kind of splotchy. Like I can't explain it. They look almost like a leopard's print because like dark elbow, dark spot, light spot. It looks the craziest thing. I don't think we even know what's in those creams. I don't think anybody know. You might end up like the Toxic Avenger or something with a mop and some drooping skin and stuff, right?
Oh man,
I'm sorry.
We got problems. We got problems.
We do. We definitely do. We definitely do. Do you want me to do the book of the book now so we can get this out the way? Because I'm happy about this book, but I'm not.
All right.
Okay. All right. So normally we do the book later, but I want to get this out of the way because of who it's written by. It's called Acceptance is Not Power. Civilizations are built to stop violence, not to resolve fairness. By Archie Delane Crawford Jr. My boy AJ, him and I went to Norfolk State together. He's one of my best friends. I love him to death. I'm very proud of him for writing this book. It can be found on Amazon. I don't plug Amazon because we have one of the best damn bookstores in the country right here in Petersburg, Virginia. But he's this is his first book and he got it out. I still can't believe this man wrote a book, but I won't say anything disparaging about him. Congratulations, my brother. You being plugged.
Did you read it?
No.
Cool.
Not yet. It's all the read.
That's the part where you
read. It's all the 48 pages, so read. I'll read it.
You can knock that out tonight, man. You can knock that out tonight.
Oh my God.
Right before you go to bed, man.
I can, but then I'm going to give him too much credit. So, Kofi, what are we talking about today, brother?
Today we are talking about that brother Ibrahim Traoré.
Okay.
And all of the movement, if you will, that he sparked across the Sahel.
Okay.
And we're going to talk, is this good? Is this bad? So for those of you who aren't really, up to date as to what he's been doing. So he is basically came into power in a coup. He's a military officer. Came into power in 2022 in Burkina Faso. And since then, he's been implementing a lot of positive changes, but he was not elected.
No,
and so that's the rub. So it's definitely undemocratic, but it's producing some results that the people have been asking for generations. And he's also got a similar situation going on in Mali and Niger, where also two other coups, and they've kind of formed this alliance called the African AES. They have a coalition, a military coalition, economic coalition, where they basically stepped away from ECOWAS and they're kind of doing their own thing. That's kind of also anti-Western at the same time. So there's a lot of layers to this story. So we're going to talk about whether or not this is good or bad or sustainable, and could this have some more domino effects in other parts of the diaspora.
So
excuse me.
One thing I want to say before we dive into it, or actually we can dive into it now. The effect of the diaspora, I think, is the most curious point. Like, how do you feel like it has really affected diaspora?
I think it's been inspiring to a lot of people. I think. I'm not sure if there's potential for it to be kind of copied in other parts of the diaspora or even copied in other parts of Africa. But I think the sentiment that people are latching onto with him, I think there's general knowledge that the West has exploited Africa and put puppet governments in place. So I don't think people really care how they get the changes. Of course, everyone would love a democracy and to have a say so, but I think what they want even more so than these democracies is food. Food, money.
Food is good.
And some independence and to not feel like they're being manipulated. So I think there's definitely some potential for it to have some ripple effects across the diaspora.
So my thing is this, right? History always repeats itself, right? We had Thomas Sankara in Burkina Faso in the mid to late 80s, right? We had Kwame Nkrumah. We had Nasser in Egypt. We have a lot of, if you even want to bring up, oh my God, his name slips me or whatever. I'll come back to him. But anyway, Idi Amin. You had Idi Amin. Even though Idi Amin, was characterized in the movies, I get it. He was this brutal guy. I understand that. But you've had a lot of leaders in Africa that took over by military coups. For God's sakes, Jerry Rawlings in Ghana again that took over down the line. A few presidencies past in Nkrumah that took over these military coups, and they were able to kind of steer the country for a bit. I don't know if that has any impact on the diaspora. I think social media. I know there was reports of Ibrahim Traoré. He's using the Russian propaganda machine to kind of push the narrative out there. But do you honestly think that the diaspora is even aware of what's even going on? I know social media is giving them a bigger profile, but maybe they're acutely aware. I mean, explain to me more, because I don't know how could they be more aware of him outside of just name recognition.
I mean, I can't really say just how aware they are. Like, I'm not sure how to measure that. Mm-hmm. I know that because of, in large part because of social media and everybody has access to it. Like, I've seen just on social media of like Jamaicans walk around with Ibrahim Traoré T-shirts and talking, proudly of him. Mm-hmm. I think people are calling him like, the next great, he's considered one of the great black leaders of the world right now. Mm-hmm. So regardless of, I don't know how you really contextualize that or measure that, but I think it's definitely he definitely has a following.
Yeah, he has a following. I think the difference is, and I support the brother and what he's doing. I support the idea. I'm not quite sure, well read on the way he's doing it, because as somebody from the continent, we've seen it before. And some of the measures that have been taken to get power oftentimes are pretty brutal, right? But I understand in order to make change, there has to be a sacrifice. But it's not fun to those people who are being sacrificed. We know that. Oftentimes, coups are often bloodied and bloodless. And yes, it has a positive impact on the people, for those who subscribe to their philosophies or those who are aligned with their certain political parties or ideologies at the time, whoever's doing the coup. And I know sometimes the coups are in favor of the quote unquote people, but we have to understand that's only the first stage in change. Like I would reference what happened in Ghana, where Jerry Rawlings, they always call it the first and second coming. Right? Because the second time he came is when he didn't turn over power. The first time he conducted the coup, he turned it over, I think, to the Liman administration. And then he got pissed off at them, and then he took it back over. And then that's when Jerry Rawlings became more of the military dictator ruler. And then eventually he's traded in his fatigues or his military uniform for his civilian suits, and he won elections, and then he put in the 2-term limit. That was kind of when I came up. I say that to say this. He did something similar to Ibrahim Traoré outside of social media. What was his impact? He did the same thing. So I'm just trying to figure out what is the impact that's going to be made on the diaspora outside of just a popularity contest.
So before we get to what the impact is on the diaspora, I think we should discuss what the impact is in Burkina Faso and the Sahel. Okay. Because at the end of the day, like, his goal is not to impact the diaspora. That might be a side effect of what's going on, but his goal, or stated goal, is to improve life for the Burkina Faso folks. And it's the numbers speak for themselves. He has, he's had a positive impact on the lives of the Burkina Faso people. The GDP is up. He's nationalized the gold. He's nationalized the industries and keeping the money in Burkina Faso. Whereas before, before he came into office, a lot of that money was being sucked out into the West, particularly France per se. So he came in, he kicked out the French military, kicked out the French diplomats, and IMF, all of that. And so, I think you could argue about the method, but I think the end result, at least as of right now, is that the country has moved in the right direction.
Yeah.
This if it just one more.
Sure.
So this is almost kind of like a part two to the conversation we had previously as to like democracy. Is democracy worth fighting for, or is it for us here? It's almost like looking at from like a different perspective, but same conversation. Is democracy more important to fight for, or do you just want results? And so I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that we can talk about the results, right? One thing that military coups, from what I've seen and what I've studied in my lifetime, is they are good in the short run, but you have to have some type of legitimacy in the long run. When I bring up Jerry Rawlings again, it was a reason why in 1992 he transitioned from the military uniform to a civilian suit and actually had elections, because he knew in order to legitimize himself in the world forum, right? Because you can kick out all the world powers you want, right? But let's be honest with you. Africa, through individual, through regional cooperation, even through the African Union, cannot stand on its own. It cannot. I remember it was maybe like 15, 20 years ago where I think for the first time in history, African Union troops were sent to do some type of peacekeeping mission, and I believe that some of them have been sent to Haiti because of the instability, right? The African Union's been around for over 50 years, and they're just now making novel progress on what other governing bodies and other corporations have been doing for years. Now, I'm not trying to compare the African Union to NATO because we're talking apples to oranges, right? But I think we romanticize about these powerful dictators and these powerful rulers, like they're going to come in and save the people. In earnest, they do. But what is the plan of succession to move the country forward 10, 15, 20 years? Because oftentimes what happened, just like I believe in Cameroon, right? Even though he didn't take over as a military dictator, I don't even think they know if their president's alive or not because he's too damn old. These people hold on to power. We kind of almost had that here, where people get drunk with power and they come in with good intentions, but the execution becomes mismanaged.
Yeah, I mean, we literally did have that here. Wasn't that a California senator that was literally like in a nursing home or something, and people were like voting for her? Yeah, like she was.
What was this?
This was like 2 years ago or something. They found out she was actually in a nursing home. Like she wasn't even like conscious, or she wasn't cognizant.
I don't remember that.
And she was still voting on stuff. It was crazy. So
are you saying there should be term limits?
I think so.
Okay.
So, I mean,
I will say that, but I can't say it out loud. Term limits.
So, but I think that's a good good to bring up, because you not all coups are created equal.
No.
And not all coups come from the same place. Some of the coups that you mentioned were actually instigated by the West.
That's true.
So you had democratically elected leaders who decided that they wanted to side with the Soviets or side with China or Russia and against the West. And all of a sudden, here comes a coup. We all like, this is public knowledge at this point.
Yeah.
The CIA basically orchestrated a lot of coups and upended a lot of governments in Africa. So it's not the process of a coup of a coup versus democracy that determines whether or not the governing body is for the people. Mm-hmm. You could have outside influences. You always will have outside influences that will shape the mission and the trajectory. So I don't think Ibrahim Traoré really should be judged whether or not it was he shouldn't be compared to other coups, because his coup came from a different reason. He was actually anti-Western.
Understood.
So this wasn't orchestrated to undermine the will of the people per se.
Understood. And I'm not saying I'm hating on the brother at all. I'm just saying, I was told by somebody, and they know who they are, that the road to hell is paved with the best intentions. And I fear that some leaders, they subscribe to that philosophy. They have the great intentions of the world to do right by their people, but yet they either get power hungry or they don't want to let go, or they have that complex. And Jerry Rawlings had it too, even though we knew that, during Ghana's political instability, the CIA was there, right?
They were definitely there.
They were there. They were there. Nobody, we can acknowledge
Yeah.
that, and that's true. There's been documentation on that, but he often felt that nobody could do it like him. Now, eventually, he did succeed power later on when he actually became a civilian style president. But that's the reason why they had the first and second coming of him, because he honestly felt that at that time nobody could do it like him. So you may have the best intention to want to lead your people, but how do you build the structure or the process to have those core tenets that you want to get done? How do you have a succession plan to have people follow on with that? Because oftentimes it dies with the person. Thomas Sankara was in Burkina Faso and had some of the same ideology, and when he died, guess what? The country just went back to what it was.
Yeah, I'm honestly not that up to speed on as you are, as like the full history of all these things that took place. I guess I'm more looking at it from just contemporary, just looking at the situation right now, and what Ibrahim how Ibrahim Traoré came into power, and what his mission is right now, and what that would take for that to be successful. And I think there is a concern about, is this sustainable or not?
Yeah.
Because the one really actual good thing about democracies is that there's a succession plan.
That is true.
You know that at some point there's going to be an election, even though sometimes these elections are rigged, and we all know that these things can be manipulated.
True.
But at least there's a mechanism on paper to say, okay, this is how you remove this person from office when you're tired of them. And so with dictatorships, you don't really have that. Now, to his credit, we'll see how this pans out. But Traoré did say they're going to be elections in 2029. Now, I think originally he said it was going to be this year, but he was pushed it out another couple more years. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that sound. I mean, I'm just saying, right?
We'll see.
I'm just saying. My grandma used to say, "A hit dog gonna holler." I'm just saying, right? I mean, and I'm not blaming the brother. I love what he's doing. I've been looking at him on social media. I think that he is the modern day epitome of what those past African leaders, the spirit of there. I think he lends to that. He taps into that, right? I think the modern twist is that he has the social media and his following behind him. But the true measure is going to be, he's a young guy. He's only in his 30s, right? Is what do you do with it, right? I hate to keep on bringing up Jerry Rollins, but he's someone I'm very familiar with and studied with. Like I said, he came back and was like, even though he had some brutal times, I would not dispute his, when he came back, especially the second time, some of the things he did to people in Ghana. But he built the country in some of the worst times during when the cocoa bean that makes chocolate, when the prices were severely low, when Ghana didn't have any oil exports. That was like a future far off thing. We didn't even have a proper port. It was so many infrastructure things that people were saying, oh, Ghana has untapped power. And, he was building towards that, right? But he had a plan to say, hey, I'm going to transition this from a military government to a civilian government, which Traoré is going to do. But I hope he does it and he kind of becomes either hands off or he converts himself to a civilian leader and lends himself to a constitution that's actually adopted by the people. I want the brother to succeed.
Let me ask you this, though.
Sure.
Let's say he decides, you know what, I'm going to be president for life.
He sound like Mary. Marion Barry said mayor for life.
Right. But,
your boy.
Yeah, no. But let's say, which, by the way, you bring up that still love.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
People still love him. Because people believed he always had their interest at heart. Right. So let's say he decides, we're never going to have elections, and I'm just going to stay in office until I die. But things are going well. Do you have a problem with it?
If the people have a problem with it, I honestly think.
But do you think they would have a problem with it if things are going well?
Yeah. Because oftentimes people. What's the old additive? Don't stay too long to become a villain. I'm messing that up, but I think there is something to be said about outstaying your welcome. Right? When you go over somebody's house, When they start putting on comfortable clothes, right? They come up there and be like, "Hey, Kofi, how you? Oh man, what's on now?
Oh
you
man, I gotta get up.
I gotta get up in the morning, right? Right? It's something you know when you've outstayed your welcome, and I think with strong men, strong women, strong people, right? We have this blind spot that we don't see when we've outstayed our welcome, and I think that's the key. I think that's the key mark of a good leader, to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to build something that's going to succeed me and outlive me. But oftentimes, especially in our community, whether it be the continent or the diaspora, we don't know how to lend ourselves to the future. That's the reason why right now we have a big ageism issue in the black community, where older folk feel like the younger folk are not listening, and the younger folk is like, get the hell out of here, you an old guy, I don't care about you. Because we feel like the older folk don't want to pass on the torch, and the older folk are like, well, you guys don't know what the hell you're doing. And you can see that division even in the continent. Traoré were in his 30s, right? Yeah. So he could literally lead maybe for another 40, 50 years if he wanted to. And I mean, if the people want it, so be it. But if you're asking me personally, I don't think he should do that. I think that would be a big mistake, and I think he would get killed.
So I'm going to take a little quick break just to thank our sponsors, Resist Booksellers and Modern Man Photography. Appreciate y'all. If y'all are enjoying this content, be sure to give us a like, leave some comments, and subscribe to the channel.
Please. Could I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Right. I'm not a Ibrahim Traoré hater, right? I'm not. But I've seen time and time again where African leaders either outstay their welcome and they become the villain, or they get villainized by the West because they're like, oh, see, I told you, y'all wanted to go with him. I mean, look at, from a historical standpoint, look at Gaddafi, right? Gaddafi had no succession plan, right? He was a terrorist. Then I won't say he was a darling. He renounced terrorism during the second Bush administration, son Bush administration, right? And guess what happened? He outstayed his welcome, and they was like, you gotta go. He literally probably could have saved himself if he had came up with a succession plan to kind of hand over things. But guess what? Next thing I know, bombs got dropped on him.
Well, that was again the West, meddling in African affairs. So I'll make a couple quick points. So
sure.
There are a lot of countries out there doing well that are not democracies, right? I mean, Saudi Arabia is not a democracy,
but they have leverage.
They got oil. People are doing well. There's nobody clamoring for change, you know,
because they have leverage.
When you say leverage, you mean money?
They have power. They have a point of power that is something that is very sought after and scarce. Right,
but people largely, I'm sure there's a lot of people who feel differently in the country. I'm not super familiar with all the
they kill journalists that speak out about them. That was a well documented case.
Right, but for the most part, the country is running okay. Or well, they have a lot of money and they're doing well.
They won't tell you either.
But I mean, my point is, there's, I mean, okay, the Vatican is not a democracy. No. There's places that are run by authoritarian leaders that are doing fine.
Yeah,
and so I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with China. Is not a democracy. I mean, yes, there are people who opposition and things like that. Mm-hmm. But so long as you can keep money in people's pockets, I think generally, I don't think people care that much about democracy. I think they care about, am I going to have food on my table? Are the lights going to work? Are the streets going to be paved? The streets going to be cleaned or whatever? So I think that's what people care more. And they'll be like, democracy is nice, but these other things are more important.
No, I totally agree with you.
And I think we even seeing that here, honestly. I mean, not to get too political here, but I think what happened on January 6th to me of what 2021.
Yeah, it was 21. It's 21.
But to me, that was a lot of people want to give them grace and say, well, they didn't know that they actually believed the big lie, or whatever. I think a lot of those people knew good and well that Trump didn't win that election, but they are okay with authoritarianism. I think you look at what's happening right now. Clearly, he's a heavy-handed ruler, and he's as close to an authoritarian rule as we've ever had. But his support is still pretty steadfast. He's not. So a lot of people knew who he was in the first administration, and it's like, yeah, let's do that again, and let's give him even more power. And so I don't think human beings in general, regardless of which country it was, Africa, America, wherever, I don't think people care that much so long as they're getting their wishes fulfilled and their basic needs fulfilled. And I think that's what's leading Ibrahim Traoré to be so popular, because he's doing things that for the country that weren't done under democracies.
True. No.
Because a lot of that is also because of the West, because these democracies were manipulated and controlled by Western powers to extract resources and to make France rich. They weren't, and the same colonialist mentality still existed, in throughout the years. So if you get a president in there, whether it's a democracy or a military or whoever, who's like, no, Burkina Faso first, that's basically what he's doing. That could have some staying power.
That could,
if done right.
If done right. One of the things I would say, just backing up to a point, I agree with you. I think people are not as reactive, or not. They don't have a disposition on whether or not it's a democracy or whether it's authoritative. I think that they could be indifferent if it works well, but there's always going to be a large contingent of people in those countries that want power, right? And when you only have a one-party state, you're always going to have a large body of people that have a disdain for the system, more than if you give the illusion of choice, which oftentimes that's better, because it's like, hey, I'm giving people a quote-unquote choice. I'm having a multi-party system, but there are silent hand manipulation tactics that are being used to kind of sway the elections one way. So I think we have to be careful when we talk about like the tactics that they use. Going back to even here in the U.S., right? We ultimately, whether you believe it or not, or whether people want to dispute it, we have a choice here, right? We may say that we don't have a choice, but we ultimately do have a choice, because everybody can go out and vote, even though you have the Electoral College and that whole situation. That's another story for another day. People want the illusion of options, but they also want the comfort of making less decisions, right? You can look at in the many books of CEOs and high performance people. They set their life up to make less decisions. So like you said, if I'm being taken care of, right, and I know that I'm going to get a oil dividend, right, or I'm going to get a free house, or I'm going to get free education, those are less decisions I have to make about my life. Like, and that's what Gaddafi did in Libya, right? There were certain things he did. But at the same time, you're also going to have a large amount of people who don't like you because you alienated a large amount of people. So it's like, hey, you're strong when you're strong, but once you show that little inch of weakness, you're going to have a large amount of people willing to sit there and just take advantage of that. And I think that is the thing that a lot of these dictators and authoritative rulers, they have that flaw. Because they'll be strong when they're young. They're strong in the first 5-10 years. But like I know, it's hard to sustain excellence, right? It's hard, you've been in the gym and things like that. It's hard to lift that personal PR every day. If you benching 315 and that was your PR, it's hard to get in there and do it every day, right? And it's the same thing with these systems. If you don't have like processes, people, and things in place that can sustain itself over 15, 20, 30 years, the strong man's only going to last but as long as he got breath. And guess what? Oftentimes they get killed.
Yeah, but I think you can't look at it without also layering Western influence, right?
Sure.
And I'll keep going back to Western influence, but that's been the story of Africa, right, for centuries. So the story of the Western influence is that if you are anti-West, which Traoré is, right? Now the Western's like, look, we need that gold, we need that whatever bauxite or whatever natural resources that they were getting. Like, we need that.
And what he's going to do if they come?
And well, so that's well, here they're already coming. I mean, that's my point. They're always going to be coming. So it might not always be visible, but whether it's sanctions, that's coming, right? Whether it's supporting your opposition, supporting your opposition, not just political opposition, but military opposition, as in terrorist groups. They're going to do whatever they need to do to get you out of there, right?
Understood.
Assassinations, coups, all of that, right? Like, that's what great powers have done traditionally to Africa. So it's like you can't judge whether or not their success and things like that without also realizing that they're under a lot of strain and manipulation and things like that. That it's not like they're just sitting around free to do whatever they want.
Yeah, but they've always been, right? The conditions he's dealing with is no different than what Nasser and Nkrumah, Gaddafi, any of them dealt with,
and
right?
they've all, right.
I mean,
but that's.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's no different. So, I mean, I'm not judging him to a different standard. I'm judging him to the same standard because ultimately, I'll be honest with you, his people will betray him. Ultimately, they're going to find somebody there, and I hate to say this, and it pains my heart. Somebody's going to be found in that country. They're going to say, hey, look, man, you don't like him like that, do you? Well, I could be in power. Why don't you be in power? What's stopping you? Well, I don't have this and this and this. Magically, you open up a door, that stuff is there.
Yeah,
right?
All of a sudden, you're getting a wired couple $1 million to your bank account.
It happens every time, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying this to side with anybody. It's just a fact of life, right? I would honestly think the best thing that leaders like him can do now, since they have the lessons of history that are recent, right? We're not talking about hundreds of years. We're talking about 40, 50, 60 years, is that they can get together like they're doing now, right? But they're going to have leverage. If you notice, I don't like saying this, but the world is not unicorns and rainbows, as you know. It's about leverage, right? It's a reason why Kim Jong-un, they won't pull him out because he got a nuke. There's a reason why over in Saudi Arabia that even though they are a Islamic nation, right? They don't have the same belief systems we do. But the one reason why the U.S. or any Western power won't mess with them, because they have a commodity that can literally cripple the world. You have to have leverage. And I will say this, and this is actually coming from the little bit I read out of my homeboy's book. Without leverage, there is no fairness. There is no equality. We as a people talk about these great accolades and platitudes and, oh yeah, we want this. If you don't have no power to come to the table, you're going to get run over. And it's the same thing with Ibrahim Traoré. He can come up with every great idea, but if he doesn't find a point of leverage in this world, he will end up like every other African leader, either in the cemetery prematurely, or he will be ousted or exiled by his people.
So I'm still in this from, I don't even know who said this, but this similar conversation came up with the whole conversation about Greenland, right? Because somebody, basically somebody who was siding with our president was like, look, like they don't have the leverage. We have all the power. We could kind of do what they want, so they better get with the program. And this person, and I forget who it was, but they were like, that sounds like a rapist. That's a rapist mentality. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should, but I think that's, we make it seem like, yes, it's just inevitable that the greater powers will just take what they want because they can. And they have. And they have, but so does that mean that you just, if you don't, which you're never going to measure up, like how do you do you just like sit there and take it? Like, what's the alternative? Just keep taking it.
No,
just keep being exploited.
Are you asking me what's the alternative?
Yeah. So like, let's say Ibrahim, Traoré, what is he supposed to do? Like, what are the people in that are being disadvantaged? What do? They just either keep taking it because they probably going to lose, or they just keep trying to fight and trying to, become independent.
I think they fight, but I think the fight is different. The fight is not to be this bombastic leader, and I'm not saying he is, right? Because he seems like he's a very very civil, very like composure. From the few times I've seen him speak, I don't think he's like some of the leaders that give these great, like speeches and things like that. But I think what he can do is he can work with other African nations to create power blocks and try to, I don't know how much the African Union is worth a damn these days, but he can work potentially with the African Union and try to create a block of power, because it goes back to what I was saying. If there is no leverage, there is no power, there is no safety. The reason why I put it like this, in your home, right? In your home, in my home, right? What deters people from coming in your house? A lock, right? Mm-hmm. Right? You have locks on your windows, you have locks on your doors, right? What is the deterrence right now for somebody to come in and get rid of Ibrahim Traoré? He has no deterrence, does he?
I don't know.
But that's the case, though.
You might be right. I just don't know.
Yeah, and that's the case with a lot of nations, especially in Africa, and even here as us as African Americans, right? We want all these things. We got a list of demands, right? But what power do we really have to even come to the table? We have ideas. We have nice to haves. We have all the well wishes. But what power do we have to say if we actually wanted to be like, hey, we want this for our people? What leverage do we have?
Well, I think we could go down another rabbit hole on this one, but I think part of it is organizing, but we might end up. Yeah.
And it goes back to the Ibrahim Traoré thing, right? Where you have, like, he withdrew for ECOWAS because, quote unquote, ECOWAS was, Western leaning, right?
Well, it was.
Yeah, it is. It is, right?
It is.
It is. But, like, I sent you something the other day, right? Ghana's in ECOWAS. They're trying to pay back all the money from the IMF so they can remove themselves from the grasp of the IMF. So I'm not saying he should have left ECOWAS, but you do things strategically to try to create as much power as you have. There's power in unity, especially when you're the smaller fighter.
Well, from what I've seen, ECOWAS actually also sanction Burkina Faso and
I wasn't aware of that.
And the AES countries, African, AES. So I think they made the first move.
And why not work with them? Why not work with them? Because that's the one thing I loved about Gaddafi, because I don't know if you know this, and I know there's difference, and I would love to hear, not to go too far off topic. In every block of the diaspora, there's a division. Would you agree with that?
Meaning what?
So, for instance, there's this artificial barrier in Africa that's been deemed Saharan and Sub-Saharan Africa. Right. I think I Show Speed, the popular streamer, went to Morocco, and he was surprised that at the soccer game, they were throwing stuff at him, right? Because he didn't know that there is a division between the Saharan Africans and Sub-Saharan Africans, right? Because they were invaded. Saharan Africans come from the Berbers, they come from the Greeks, because Carthage and those empires, the ancient empires were there. They had a lot of mixing. You had the Arab invaders that came in, and they all mixed with the native Africans that were there at the time. So they're a mixed race of people, right?
Right.
And then you have the Sub-Saharan Africans like myself, like from Ghana, where we are darker skinned and have a different lineage and a different culture, right? He was surprised. I Show Speed was surprised. He was just like, well, I thought I was in Africa. And I was like, brother, nobody told you the memo? Like, there's a great divide. So the reason I bring that up is it may be similar in the Caribbean, and maybe in America it's definitely similar, right? Among African Americans, there's so many divisions. Just count one. You from old block, I'm from this block, right?
Right.
You dark, I'm light. It goes.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to tear down the barriers because there's strength in numbers, like you said. There's strength in numbers. So you're
saying, yeah. I mean, I think generally speaking, I don't know enough to know what Traoré is doing to create leverage. I think creation of the AES with basically teaming up with Mali and Niger is a start. I think that all three of them have kicked out France, but I think.
But why black people always want to go start something new?
But
we always want to do that.
Well, but why would you use the same tools and organizations that you feel are actually there to suppress you? So I get that. I mean, if you feel like philosophically like the ECOWAS or is basically controlled by the West and they're part of the problem, yeah, you have to leave, and so you have to negotiate from a place of power, right? From a place of strength. True. You can't just go in there and ask for power. No power is never given.
Power's never given. So, but you have to earn it, of course.
You got to take it. It absolutely has to be taken. So. Hopefully, I wish, that hopefully by another 3 to 5 years, they're in a greater position of power. Economically, they seem to be trending in that direction. And so regardless of if he stays in power or if there is an actual election, I think it's probably is serving as at a minimum as some kind of a reset. Like, no, like we're not doing what we've been doing. We're gonna do something totally different.
Understood. So I'm gonna give you a good analogy, right? You remember Destiny Child? Mm-hmm. Remember the group Destiny Child? There was a young woman in the group called Latoya Luckett. Remember her? Mm-hmm. Right? Latoya Luckett went on a solo career. If she wanted to negotiate a deal, right, for her career, would it be better for her to negotiate a deal when she was with Destiny Child or her as solo? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, if I'm with Beyonce, I got a lot of power, right? If I'm with Beyonce, I got a lot of power. She didn't have as much power or notoriety when she left. She had a couple hits, but when she was with Destiny Child, she had her greatest claim to fame. Reason why I bring that up is
all right. I'm trying to connect.
I'm gonna bring it home.
Okay,
I'm gonna bring it home. Right? Nigeria is the biggest country in Africa by GDP and population. Right? Mm-hmm. You left ECOWAS, which you left the lion of Africa, based on its economy and population, to go start your own shit. That's what black people do. We always be like, "Whoa, like what you did," and start my own shit. And granted, they may be wrong, but you just left. You just left the organization that has the biggest economy in Africa.
But what is it doing for? What was it doing for him?
I'm not gonna leave Beyonce. But I'm not gonna leave her until I figure out what I need to do.
But what was being tied to Nigeria? What did that do for them all these years? Nothing.
Understood.
So it's like,
but it's a lot harder.
ECOWAS ain't doing nothing for Burkina Faso.
I'm just saying it's like a lot harder to do it on your own.
All these countries are just basically getting robbed blind. Like, we know this. Like, they're all being exploited. They're all being robbed, right? Like, all of their natural resources are basically just sucked out of the country. They don't get to keep any of that.
Understood.
Right? So what is the point of keep doing the same thing?
Well, I mean, like you're right. You're right.
Yeah, you might struggle at first, but maybe if you play your cards right, maybe in the long term you'll be better off for it.
How many Latoya Luckett songs you know?
None.
That's my point. I need to release a solo album when I'm with Destiny Child, and then I go out on my own. I mean, I'm not saying what he's doing is wrong. I just think you got to be more strategic.
Okay.
I just think you got to be a little bit more strategic, because he is a under 40 military president or military leader of a budding country. And we've seen this play before in this country with Thomas Sankara, right? Thomas Sankara, I think, died under the age of 50. He literally has a direct historical figure he can go back to and be like, I don't want this to happen to me, because I'm doing the same exact thing that he did.
Yeah. Take a little break one more time just to thank our sponsors, Resist Booksellers in Petersburg and Modern Man Photography. Definitely appreciate y'all. And again, if you're loving this content, we would love to subscribe to the channel, give us a like, give us, throw in some comments. We'd love to know what you think about this topic. If we're missing anything, let us know.
Yeah,
You know?
we don't know everything about, geopolitical topics, but hey, at the same time, we would love to hear from y'all. So, question to you, because I know that we talk a lot about geopolitics and diaspora. So, what do you think that Ibrahim Traoré could really offer? What lessons do you think he can offer the diaspora, if there is any?
Well, I think the Western playbook is the same. I'm reading a book right now it's about basically I'm learning about some of Guyana's history because I'm learning about my own history here, and the playbook was the same. The Western playbook in whether it's Africa, the Caribbean, South Latin America, wherever, it's the same playbook. So I think Ibrahim Traoré is very symbolic in one sense, but the ramifications for the diaspora could be huge. If he succeeds, I almost guarantee you, and he's not just this military. He's not just leading us coup, like enriching himself. He's trying to do things for the country, and he's doing it in a very bold, anti-Western way, right? Basically, so if that is successful, it could be a blueprint for others. I like it or love it or whatever, like that. But knowing that, also, it has ramifications for America knows that, the West knows that, France knows that. It's kind of like it was kind of like the Haitians, in a way, right? So the Haitians had their revolution, and they were punished dearly to set an example to the rest of the enslaved countries with that practice slavery, that you will not do this because you will suffer. They were paying. They had to pay reparations to France.
And who helped them?
Nobody. America helped them.
No. I'm talking about who helped. Who came to Haiti's aid?
Well, I mean, yeah. But my point is, like, they were made an example of.
They were.
So the West, I know for a fact that France and the rest of the West are looking at Traoré right now, and they're going to do everything in their power to make an example out of him to make sure he fails. So it's a great possibilities either way, because I think it'll be precedent setting for whichever direction it goes.
Yeah, I think one of the things he could really do, and I think he started it, I think he needs to invite the diaspora in the country. I know that's a deadly thing because we've seen that play be used before to invite foreigners from other places, and then they can, infiltrate. But I think he needs to. I think there are Black people in the diaspora that can actually come there and help him build industry. I think he can use that power of social media, right, to actually reach out to people and say, hey, look, we have this issue. I'm trying to do better. I think he can build a stronger narrative than he has now, even though he has a great one. I think he can actually reach out directly, because that's the one thing the internet has become. It has democratized information and access to people. You can DM Beyonce if you wanted to. I know you wouldn't.
I do it all the time.
I appreciate it. What about LaToya Luckett? See, she's got my point exactly. My point exactly, right? Nobody knew. Shout out to LaToya Luckett, right? But my point is, I think he's in a unique position to change the narrative of what happens to leaders who buck against the West and buck against the power structure. But he has to be very strategic. He has to look at his brothers and sisters to the countries to the left and right and say, I may not agree with you. I don't like what you're doing, but I need you. Because it's strength in numbers, right? Even if, put it like this, if you're fighting out of your weight class, 5 lightweights could potentially beat a heavyweight. But if we fight one-on-one, oh man, it's not going to be a good day. And I think strategically, that's what he needs. He needs to look at unity. Even though he has 3 other countries with him right now, Africa has 54 nations. You gotta have the right partners. You can't just partner with everybody. And as we already established, a lot of those African leaders are puppets. You can't just go partnering with everybody. Maybe Nigeria doesn't have the same goals. Maybe Nigeria has money and a big economy, but
maybe their leaders have a different mindset. Maybe they're influenced by the West more, which, and so if you can't just partner with people just to have numbers, because that could actually end up undermining your goals.
That's true.
So I'm sure if there was more like-minded countries that are like, yeah, we're sharing the same mission with you. Let's do it. I would imagine he would be open to it.
But being next to Beyonce ain't a bad thing. And I'm not saying that
unless Beyonce is actually like, nah, you know what, you're gonna be my backup. I'm Beyonce of this group.
I'm still on tour.
And but
I'm still on tour.
But if your goal is to go do something else, and Beyonce's like, no, you with me, you're gonna do what I want you to do.
Yeah, if there was old group was Gladys Knight and the Pips, I wouldn't mind being the Pips. I don't want to be the Pips by myself. I want to be with Gladys Knight.
Maybe somebody don't want to be the Pips.
Oh, man, I'm just saying it's better to stand by the star than not stand by the star.
Not you gotta follow your heart. You gotta do what's best for you. And if that means a smaller pie over here, look. And this is totally different. We way off track now. But I'm gonna use myself as an example, right? So I used to work for the government, right? It wasn't in my heart.
Understood.
I went and I opened up a food truck.
Understood.
I left a 6-figure job, right? Mm-hmm. GS13, 15 years in, and I was like, you know what? This ain't sitting right with me. I'm tired of doing this. Mm-hmm. And I followed my heart, and I opened up and started working on a food truck. So yeah, like that might look all nice and shiny over there, mm-hmm. but if that ain't for you, that ain't for you.
Understood. But
so, I don't know if this analogy is if we're too far down the road.
I get what you're saying, so I'll bring it back. That high level government job was Beyonce though.
Yes,
you made that decision when you still was with Beyonce. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I use that Beyonce money.
Exactly. That's my point. Exactly. It's always good to make a great decision when you're with the star or whatever. I say that to say this. I wish that brother well. I really wish he do, but history has just not been kind to leaders that kind of have went out on their own, especially on the continent, on the 54 nations that encompass the continent.
Don't say the history hasn't. Say the West hasn't. The West has not been kind to brothers who try to do their own thing.
The world, and including the West, has not been kind. I've said it. Right. If you want me to say it, I'll say it. Yeah. The world and the West.
It didn't just happen.
No, it didn't just happen. But at the same time,
it's reality.
It's reality.
I get what you're saying.
And when you're dealing with this power structure, until we figure out what else is going to happen in the next 40, 50 years as the world morphs, based on demographics and stuff like that, it is what it is. I'll say this and we can close it out. I think the greatest thing Africa can do and the diaspora can do is realize its real potential and where the real power is at. The power is in the people, not so much in the actions of the people, but the amount of people. Africa has one of the only positive, and I bring up birth rate a lot because when you have more people, there's more leverage because you have the population to do things. Africa has one of the only, I won't say one of the, maybe top 3 or 4 as a continent, positive birth rates. Europe's in decline, North America, I think even Asia's in decline, right? That could be leverage. How that affect the diaspora? Guess what? If there is dual citizenship opportunities, you can go back and build stuff. You can work with partners and stuff there. There's so much stuff coming up over the next 30, 40, 50 years on this globe that I honestly think that the power dynamic can shift. But it's going to take leaders who think strategically. So stand next to Beyonce. I'm just saying.
I'll let you have the last word on that.
Look, we love y'all. Happy Black History Month. Right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Merry Black History Month. What was it? Merry New Year?
Merry what?
What was it? Merry New Year. Wasn't that Coming to America? What was it? I don't
remember that.
Was it Merry New Year? I can't remember. I've seen Come to America like 1,000 times, but it's I think it was like Merry New Year or Merry whatever. But we love y'all. It's been real. See y'all next episode. Peace.
Love you.